Somewhere on your street sits an RV that has not moved in 3 years. The person who owns it is still paying for it every single month. That is the whole video in one sentence. And it is not a story about being bad with money. Almost every purchase retirees regret has the same shape. It looks like a thing you buy once. It is a bill that never stops. You do not buy a timeshare. You adopt one. Nobody buys a boat either. They take on a dependent that lives at the marina. And here is the part that makes it worse, which almost nobody connects. These purchases cluster in the first 2 or 3 years of retirement. The retirement account finally unlocks, the last paycheck clears, and you feel better than you will feel again. Researchers call those the go-go years, and spending genuinely peaks there. But the obligation does not last 3 years. It lasts 25. So you buy it with go-go money, for a go-go version of yourself. Then you pay with slow-go money, in a slow-go body, 2 decades after you stopped using it, and the people selling them know exactly when to find you. Think about what you look like in year 1. A lump sum may have just landed. Your account's finally opened up. You have more free time than you have had since you were 20. And you are trying to answer a hard question. What is this next chapter supposed to feel like? That is the most suggestible moment of your financial life, and it arrives with money attached. Timeshare presentations are free, come with a meal, and last 90 minutes. That is not an accident. I am going to give you 13 of these, but the 3 questions underneath the list matter more, so here are those first. Question 1. After I pay, does this thing keep charging me? Question 2. If I change my mind in 3 years, what does getting out cost? Question 3. Is this for the me of the next 3 years or the next 20? Almost everything on this list fails at least 2 of those. Group 1. The things that never stop charging you. Number 1 is the timeshare, and the numbers are striking. Ernst & Young publishes an annual report on the industry. The average maintenance fee is now about $1,480 a year per week owned. It has climbed 36% in 5 years. Those fees typically rise 5 to 10% a year, faster than inflation. You owe them whether you go or not. They keep coming after the loan is paid off, and they keep coming in the years you were too sick to travel. Run that forward. Start at $1,480 and let it rise 6% a year for 20 years. You have paid about $54,000 in fees alone. By year 20, the annual bill is over $4,700. At a typical $20,000 purchase price, and you're at roughly $74,000. Put those same dollars in an index fund instead, and you would have about a $154,000, and getting out is its own problem. The Federal Trade Commission tells consumers plainly that timeshares are not investments. Something you paid $24,000 for may fetch a fraction of that on the resale market. Finding any buyer at all can take months. Exit companies charge $3,000 to $10,000 to release you from something you already own. With a deeded timeshare, the obligation may not end when you do. It can pass to your estate. Your children may inherit the annual bill along with the week. Worth knowing before you sign anything using the word ownership. Number 2 is the RV. This one hurts because the dream is so good. A new RV loses 20 to 30% of its value in the first year. By year 5, it has lost 45 to 60%. Then it keeps sliding 8 to 12% a year after that. That is only the paper loss. Industry guidance is to budget 3 to 5% of the value every year for maintenance. Storage runs $600 to $3,000 a year. Registration and taxes add a few hundred more. Insurance adds more still. On a $100,000 rig, that is roughly $1,700 a year before you turn the key. Now the number that lands. Take that same rig over 5 years, lose half its value, pay the carrying costs, and use it 3 weeks a year. That works out to about $852 a night. You could stay somewhere very nice for $852 a night and hand back the keys. I watched this play out with 2 neighbors of mine, Dennis and Walt. They retired a year apart and both wanted to travel. Walt bought a $100,000 rig at 63. Dennis rented one 3 weeks every summer and left his money invested. 10 years later, Walt's RV is worth about $29,000. He also spent roughly $61,000 keeping it running, stored, and insured. Dennis spent about $48,000 on rentals over the same 10 years. Meanwhile, his $100,000 grew to about $179,000. Same trips, same 3 weeks every summer, same starting money. The gap between them after 10 years is roughly $163,000. Dennis got something else too. Some years he rented a bigger rig. One year he skipped it and went to Portugal instead. Walt could not skip a year. The RV charges you whether you go or not. Number 3 is the boat. Same disease, saltier version. A new boat drops 15 to 25% in year 1 and 40 to 50% by year 5. Then come the slip fees, the winter storage, the haul-outs, the bottom paint, the engine service. A boat is not an object you own. It is a small building that floats, and buildings need staff. People who love boating and stay happy about it end up in one of two places. They either use it constantly, or they join a boat club and let somebody else own the depreciation. Number 4 is the vacation home. It is the most emotionally convincing and the most expensive. Property taxes do not care whether you visited, neither does the insurance, and coastal insurance has been brutal lately. Neither does the roof. Do the per night math and it gets clearer. A place costing $9,000 a year to carry, used 4 weeks, runs about $321 a night. That is before the purchase price, before any mortgage, and before the drive. That same $9,000 a year costs about $375,000 across a 25-year retirement, and that assumes those costs only rise with inflation. Number 5 is the country club or golf membership with an annual minimum. $6,000 a year in dues, rising modestly, comes to about $250,000. That is not a membership. It is a second mortgage on your leisure. I'm Tom. This channel is about real personal finance, the kind that actually works for normal people, not the kind that gets you to click a thumbnail. No motivational fluff or fantasy returns. We just discuss what the math actually does over time. If that's what you want, hit subscribe. Group 2. The things that lock your money up. Number 6 is an annuity with a surrender period longer than your actual timeline. I want to be careful here. Annuities are not villains. For some people, guaranteed lifetime income is exactly the right tool. The surrender charge is not a punishment either. It lets the insurer put your money in long-dated bonds and back the guarantee it gave you. That is a real mechanism, not a trick. The regret is a mismatch of timelines. Surrender periods typically run 6 to 10 years. The charge starts around 7 to 10% and steps down a point a year. Put $200,000 into a 7-year contract and something happens in year 2. Getting at the bulk of it costs around $14,000. Most contracts let you take about 10% a year without the charge. The question to ask before signing is not what rate it pays. It is what happens if you need the money in year 3. Number 7 is a whole life or indexed universal life policy bought late. Permanent life insurance can make sense for estate reasons, a special needs dependent, or a business. But if it was sold to you at 62 as an investment, look at the early cash value. A large share of the early premium goes to costs and commission. If the reason you bought it was growth, you almost certainly bought the wrong container. There is a simple test for this one. Ask what the surrender value is at the end of year 5. Compare it to what you paid in. If the honest answer makes you wince, the policy was not built to grow your money. It was built to do something else. Decide whether you want that something else. Number 8 is anything prepaid and bundled. Prepaid vacation clubs. Multi-year memberships discounted for paying up front. The discount is real. So is the fact that you handed over cash and got back a promise. Promises are hard to resell. Group 3. The things bought for a person who never showed up. Number 9 is the house you did not downsize. Nobody buys this one. You just keep it. But keeping it is a purchase you make again every year. It shows up in taxes, insurance, heating, cooling, and a roof that ages whether the bedrooms are occupied or not. Put numbers on it. A $500,000 house typically carries around $17,800 a year, once you add tax, insurance, upkeep, and utilities. A $300,000 house runs closer to $10,800. That is $7,000 a year of difference, or roughly $290,000 over a 25-year retirement. And that is before the $200,000 of equity the move would free up. Most people underestimate this because the mortgage is gone, so it feels free. A big house still has a running cost. In retirement, it competes with your travel, your grandchildren, and your margin for a bad market year. Number 10 is a brand new car in the first year of retirement. The instinct makes sense. You want something reliable now that the company car is gone. but a new vehicle takes its steepest appreciation in exactly the years your portfolio is most fragile. A 2 or 3-year-old version of the same car does the same job. Number 11 is the hobby, bought in bulk on day 1. This is the woodworking shop, the camera kit, the full set of golf clubs, the treadmill, the kiln. The pattern is always the same. You buy equipment for the hobby you intend to have before finding out whether you have it. There is nothing wrong with the hobby. The problem is buying the professional version of the equipment before you have done the amateur version of the activity. Retirement is the first time in decades you can try things, and trying things badly is the whole point. The cheap version of this is to rent, borrow, or buy used for the first year, then upgrade only what you actually wore out. Number 12 is land, or a lot, or a place you will build on someday. Someday is doing an enormous amount of work in that sentence. The property taxes are due every year while you decide, and raw land generates nothing to pay them with. It is the only asset on this list that charges you rent for the privilege of thinking about it. Group 4. The things fear sells you. Number 13 is the extended warranty and its cousins, the service contract and the protection plan. The pitch names a specific fear at the exact moment you are already spending. But you are paying a premium to insure an amount you could cover yourself. Insurance is for the losses that would wreck you. A dryer is not one of them. Same logic for buying gold or collectibles because someone said the system is about to collapse. Fear is the most expensive advisor you will ever hire. To be fair, plenty of purchases pass all 3 questions. Let me name a couple so this does not sound like a list of forbidden pleasures. A trip passes. It does not charge you again next year. There is nothing to get out of. And it serves the you of the next 3 years, which is exactly the you who can still climb the stairs in Lisbon. A used camper van bought by somebody who genuinely camps 30 nights a year passes too. It already took its depreciation hit under the previous owner. It has a real resale market, and the cost per night is defensible. The test is not whether something is fun. Fun is the point. The test is whether it keeps billing you after the fun is over. Now let me be honest about what this video is not saying, because I think that matters more than the list. I'm not telling you to spend nothing in retirement. That would be terrible advice. You spend 40 years funding this. The go-go years are real. If you want to see Italy, go see Italy. The problem is never the enjoying. The problem is the form the enjoying takes. Look back at all 13. Everyone turns flexible money into 2 things you did not want. An asset you cannot easily sell and a bill you cannot easily cancel. And they arrive at the worst possible moment. In your first years of retirement, your withdrawal rate is the highest it will ever be. Your portfolio is at its most fragile. A bad market then does more damage than at any other point in your life. That is exactly when a new permanent bill is hardest to absorb. So here's the fix, and it is not deprivation. Buy the experience. Do not buy the obligation. Every single thing on that list has a rentable version. You can rent an RV for a 2-week trip and pay a fraction of what owning one costs per night. Book the resort week without owning a piece of it forever. You can charter the boat and join the club month to month. You can stay in the beach town 3 weeks a year instead of buying a house there. There is a bonus most people miss. Renting tells you the truth. Rent the RV twice and you will know whether you are an RV person. You will know it for about $2,000 instead of $100,000. If you already own one of these, pull 2 years of statements and find every charge connected to the thing. The obvious payment plus insurance, storage, taxes, dues, repairs, fuel, add it up. Divide by the nights or rounds or trips you actually used. Now look up what renting that same experience costs that same number of times. If renting is cheaper, you have found a real number. Real numbers are easier to act on than a vague feeling that something is wrong. Then there is the second part, which is harder. Most people hold on because selling means admitting a mistake. That instinct costs more than the mistake did. The money you spent is gone either way. The only question left is whether you keep paying for it. Selling is not failure. It is one decision that stops a bill running another 25 years. There is one more rule worth adopting, and it costs nothing. Nothing on this list ever has to be bought today. So for any large purchase in your first 3 years of retirement, make yourself wait 90 days. That single delay defeats almost every sales technique used on this list, because all of them depend on deciding in the room. If you still want it in 90 days, you probably actually want it. Before you buy anything big in the next few years, run the 3 questions. Does it keep charging me after I buy it? If I want out in 3 years, what does out cost? And am I buying this for the me of the next 3 years or the me of the next 20? If a purchase clears all 3, buy it and enjoy it without a second thought. Most of these will not clear even one. And notice what all of this is really protecting. It is not your balance. It is your ability to change your mind. At 63, you cannot know who you will be at 73. Your health will change. Your interests will change. The people you want to be near will change, sometimes by moving and sometimes by dying. Every obligation you sign in year 1 bets that today's you still wants the same things in 15 years. Nobody wins that bet reliably, so the goal is not to guess right. The goal is to stay light enough that guessing wrong is cheap, because the regret is almost never about the money. It is about the moment you realize you did not buy a thing. You signed up for a payment, and the payment outlived your interest in the thing by 15 years. Tell me in the comments which one you have owned, and whether you would buy it again. And if you got out of one of these, say what it cost you to leave, because that number helps somebody else. I read every comment and I reply to as many as I can. And if you want the next video, hit subscribe. I'll see you in the next one.